Tuesday, 8 a.m., Royal Air Force Base, Benson, England. 3 Canadian search and rescue helicopter pilot candidates are here to fly a highly sophisticated $25 million full-motion helicopter simulator. It's part of a demanding 3-month course for experienced pilots training to fly the Cormorant, a helicopter dedicated solely to search and rescue in Canada. 2 months into the course now, and the pilots have logged several hours on the Cormorants at CFB Comox on Vancouver Island, British Columbia, perfecting a steady hover and hoisting SAR technicians in and out of confined areas. They've also practiced in the cockpit procedures trainer at 442 Squadron, but it's no match for the full-motion simulator. With its state-of-the-art graphic and data displays, hyper-realistic sound and motion response, and 270-degree wraparound environments providing a full range of flight training scenarios. From takeoff, landing, and normal flying situations to adverse conditions and severe emergencies, lessons learned here translate into success and survival on search and rescue missions back in Canada.
Canadian search and rescue pilots come and see me every 6 to 8 months, and the nature of the simulator sessions here is to cover emergencies that we can't cover in the real aircraft. So things like engine failures, fires, transmission failures. So it gives us an opportunity to control the aircraft in stressful situations and making sure we handle the emergencies in an appropriate fashion.
Today's emergency. Captain James Luce must deal with a tail rotor malfunction. The anti-torque pedals are jammed, making the helicopter difficult to steer.
No, pedals still unresponsive. Okay, I'm going to put those back in.
It doesn't happen often, but the result can be deadly.
Okay, so
Being prepared is half the
does that
battle.
improve the situation at all? No, pedals are unresponsive. Okay, so we'll clear that.
The purpose of the tail rotor is to counteract the effect of torque on the helicopter as the main rotor turns. The tail rotor pushes against the force of the horizontal rotation and effectively points the helicopter in the direction of travel.
901 requesting immediate landing runway 19.
If the tail rotor stops working, the helicopter will begin to spin out of control. The pilot must perform an auto-rotation. First, he will ease back on the engine power, slowing the rotation of the main rotor blades and lowering the torque so the helicopter will be less inclined to turn, or yaw. Then, he'll feather the angle of the main rotor blades to maintain lift and avoid dropping too quickly, while gliding the helicopter in for an emergency landing. The higher the altitude of the helicopter, the more precious seconds the pilot has to take evasive action and survive.
Well, it's pretty realistic training. It's nice because when you do an emergency, you're not just pretending to push the switch to say, I would be doing this. You actually get to do it. And we take the emergency to a full logical conclusion.
Generally speaking, by the time they leave the scenario sessions with me, they will be brought up to a level 3 on all the emergency situations they encounter. And a level 3 means they might make some minor errors during the procedure, but nothing that ruins the effectiveness of how they're handling that emergency.
Over there, right. You're 42 knots. Try and duck that nose forward. 6 feet, 5 feet. Touch it down. So we've got a pedal jam in the hover here. So is it working? Nope.
In simulator number 2, pilots Captain Will Livingston and Captain Jay Hall are also dealing with stuck tail rotor pedals, but they are holding in a low hover, which leaves less time to deal with the malfunction.
You're going to see what the pedals are doing. You're going to touch the micro switches to see if that works. See if you can...
Cormorant instructor Captain Stu Irvine, who has accompanied the students to this training facility in Britain, helps the pilots work through this emergency scenario.
So there you go. You do have some control there, all right?
It's all about diagnostics, troubleshooting, problem solving, and understanding exactly how the Cormorant works. During an actual in-flight emergency, these procedures must be done instinctively.
The most difficult sim thus far was the tail rotor malfunctions, just because of the nature of the types of flying and the precision involved with some of the maneuvers.
25.
It's a great opportunity for us to come over here. Just trying to take as much as I can from all these sessions. We're seeing a lot of new emergencies, and it was a lot of fun.
the pilots return to Comox, where Cormorant pilot candidate Captain Jay Hall is about to attempt his first live hoist from a moving vessel at sea. The exercise has 3 components: a simple hover, a hover with an empty hook, and a hover with live personnel on the cable. Jay must ace them all.
Once we're committed, we'll make a right-hand turn for our circuit. Any questions?
What does committed mean?
On Jay's left and watching his every move is the aircraft commander and Cormorant instructor, Captain Stu Irvine.
Okay.
He teaches me on the ground, we brief, and then we go up in the air and he'll demo it and he'll show me how it's done, and then it's monkey see, monkey do, and then while I'm doing it, he's just giving me tips and pointers to make it better and make it easier. Once you get to a certain level, you know, if things are going well, he'll sit there and hopefully he won't have too much to say.
15 kilometers offshore from CFB Comox in the Strait of Georgia, the Cormorant meets the MV Albatross, a Canadian Navy vessel assigned to today's exercise. At the helm of the vessel is Petty Officer Second Class Michel Tremblay.
I would say we do this at least 3-4 times a week. We do at night as well.
Also on board the vessel is Cormorant helicopter pilot student Captain Will Livingston, who will observe this challenging rescue procedure from a different angle.
So for us, it's an opportunity to see the effects of the helicopter on the boat, what the SAR techs are doing, as well as what the MD are doing, all from a different perspective.
They like a bit of wind, so they always do their exercise with their nose in the wind. So we're going to face the wind going to this direction, and no, today's nice. There's a bit of wave from the wind of yesterday, but that's about it.
And you will get to a point where you'll get over top of the boat and you will lose references with the boat. So, immediately call lost contact. Okay. That lets the flight engineer know you can no longer see the boat. Yeah. Okay. All right?
The effect of the Cormorant on small boats is considerable. The intense downwash from the helicopter's rotors actually blows the vessel off course, making it even more of a moving target for the pilot.
Depending on the pilots, if they're new, they're going to push us a bit more. But if they're good pilots, usually training goes pretty well.
The helicopter's hovering beautifully right here. We're following the boat. We're not going anywhere from it, all right? Just little pressures, little pressures.
Jay is successful at consistently hovering the Cormorant over the moving vessel. So instructor Captain Irvine gives the green light to move on to the next challenge, hovering with an empty hook directly over the back of the boat without it swaying back and forth.
Because there's such a dynamic relationship between the helicopter and the boat, we have to make practice runs. We do as many practice runs as it takes until the SAR techs in the back are comfortable that they're willing to put their lives literally on the line before the pilot takes them to the boat.
How do you feel? Good. Feels not bad, huh?
After several minutes of holding the cable steady over the deck of the vessel, the flight engineer and SAR techs are confident that Jay is up for the task of lowering personnel.
I check. It'll be single, and you have the con, and when you're ready, we'll move us overhead and get this done.
A single refers to having only one person on the end of the cable. The flight engineer performs a safety check on a SAR tech and prepares to lower him on the hoist. In a real emergency, a stretcher or medical supplies might be sent down along with the medics. With an unobstructed view of the target, the flight engineer cons, or controls the aircraft into position by calling out distances and updating the pilot on what the SAR tech is doing.
5, 4, 3, steady forward right, Sergeant's on the deck.
Today, the conditions are ideal for training, but on actual rescue missions, the Cormorant pilots must perform this maneuver while the vessel is moving erratically in heavy seas and gusty crosswinds. With Jay tracking the vessel in a steady hover, the second SAR tech is lowered down to the deck.
Hold up. See those 2 SAR techs down there?
Yeah.
You put them there.
Working.
The Sartecs are hoisted up to the cormorant one after the other. Captain Jay Hall is about to complete his first challenging training exercise over water.
All right, guys, we're done. You have control, Jay? I have control. Turning right, take me back towards the base, please. Radar, turbo crew to start.
Albatross copy. You guys have a nice flight. Have a good weekend. Over.
Works. You too. Cabin area secure. Rescue doors pinned up and start check is complete.
Go ahead and fly.
Yeah, right to fly, sir.
With the cabin and crew secure, Jay pulls the cormorant up out of the hover and heads back to base, where instructor Captain Stu Irvine will review his performance.
The exercise this afternoon was to see how he handled boat hoisting. This was his first attempt at it. The conditions were good, so the boat wasn't perfectly calm. It was moving around a little bit, and he did really well.
It was challenging. It's probably the easiest boat I'll ever do. It was big, nice and stable, and there was absolutely no sea state out there whatsoever, but it was a lot of work. It took me an hour and a half to get it in, but got her done, and it's Friday, so we're gonna go have a beer and probably watch some hockey now.
During the last month of the Cormorant pilot course at 442 Squadron, all 3 candidates went on to master boat hoisting and completed numerous training missions at night. Each candidate successfully qualified as a first officer and is now flying a Cormorant helicopter on search and rescue missions.
It's good to be done the course. You know, you work hard to get to this point, and it's finally came, so it's good. It's good to be part of the team. So far in the 2 weeks I've been operational. I've been up to Sitka, Alaska. I've seen Whitehorse, and we did a mission out to Bella Coola. So it's been exciting.